welcome to PC Chess Club. This is going to be a tutorial on the Knight and Bishop Checkmate, and I thought we would do it a little different. Instead of going through just like a computer monitor type presentation, what we do is we just go ahead and read through the book and just set up an actual chessboard and make the moves on the board. So you'll be able to see it just like if you were sitting in front of a chessboard. I might be going a little slower in this video because I have to play the moves kind of upside down. In most chess books, it's always white at the bottom, so when you're looking at those diagrams, you're looking at the white piece is close to you and black is at the top of the board. What I have to do in this video is I have to actually reverse it in my mind. I have to see it from your point of view so that when you're watching it, you'll be seeing it as if you were playing the moves and you were going to get the checkmate. So in this game, you'll be playing the white pieces and you'll be trying to checkmate the black king. And we'll go ahead and zoom in. Let me get my reading glasses on. We'll go ahead and we'll zoom in and we'll start the next segment. I don't know if you guys can see this. This is the book that it's from, right here. So we're going to go ahead and get started now. As you recall, the weaker side can invoke the 50-move law. In your first attempts, you will probably take longer and the game will be a draw. When you gain precision, it will take you about 30. Because it's so hard, it makes an excellent exercise. Try placing the pieces in different places on the board, then set yourself the problem of mating in fewer than 50 moves. This time you must drive the king into one of the two corners that is controlled by the bishop. They put that in italics, extra emphasis, the key phrase, controlled by the bishop. The king, therefore, tries to run into one of the other two corners. Following diagram, white can only mate at king rook 1 and queen rook 8. Well, this is an older book, so for those that don't know, that's called descriptive notation. So it would actually be king rook 1 or h1, and queen rook 8 would actually be a8. So either of these corners, because it's the color of the bishop, that's the only way they can get the checkmate. First move. Checkmate. And this is the next one that we're going to do. It'll be out of here. These were covered, these books were covered in one of the previous videos, but I thought it'd be nice if we could set a chessboard up and actually play through the moves, so maybe if you saw the moves being played out, you might be able to understand it better. The mate with bishop and knight is quite difficult, but it has the charm of being rigorously systematic. Well, this one doesn't say it that I can see, but one of the things that some of the other books talk about is that the bishop and knight mate or checkmate is all about teamwork. It's all about getting your pieces to work together. Your king, your knight, and your bishop, they have to all three cover all the squares. Let's go ahead and see how that one looks. This is a checkmate position, as the black king is in check and has no legal escape move. The checkmate process has two stages: driving the king to the edge of the board, and then to the corner where checkmate is administered. The mate must be executed with the weaker side's king in a corner of the same color as those on which the bishop travels. The mating process here is really quite taxing even for a strong player, but luckily this type of mate is rare. Despite, or perhaps because of, its difficulty, the mate with bishop and knight deserves attentive study. Many great masters and teachers have strongly recommended repeated drill with this type of mate because of its instructive revelation of the cooperative power of the pieces. Hunting down the lone king has all the attraction of a suspense thriller. When you first attempt to work out this mate, you will probably find your prey escaping you. Exactitude will come with practice. About 30 moves is par for this mate. 50 moves is the limit. You can see back in the day when they first taught it, that's how they used to teach the bishop-knight checkmate. And basically just show you that method or that process and then tell you good luck. This is the next one that we'll be using. This one right here. It says on the back, this exceptionally well-structured introduction guides the beginner gently from the basic moves and rules of play to a deeper appreciation of the tactics and strategy of chess. That's what it looks like. By far the most difficult of the elementary mates, the bishop and knight mate necessitates forcing the enemy king not only to the edge, but right to the corner of the board. A forced mate is in fact only possible in the corner of the same color as that of the squares upon which the bishop travels. Mate in the other corners is possible, but only if the defense errs. In other words, you could still get checkmate in like a light square corner, but it's a lot harder and only if black screws it up. If black messes up, what they said about if the defense errs, if there's errors, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know to go to the opposite corner. Begin in the diagram position, which is what we're doing, which is just about as bad as white could imagine in this endgame. The first stage must be to bring the white pieces closer together. We've now reached a typical position in which black must retreat. Note how white, king, bishop, and knight cooperate to control squares round the black king. You see that? Right here, the knight's got that. Got this on both sides. King, here, here, here. But they can't make any more sideways movements. They're going to have this square by the knight and that one by the bishop, so they have to retreat. And they choose that way to retreat. And here they say if they had went this way, king to e8, and the black king does not escape. Finally, the king must be driven away from A8 towards A1, where the bishop will deliver mate. Making a run for it. Instead, if they would have went this way, king to a6, it says king a6 demands less accuracy from white. Continuing the inexorable process towards A1. We'll put these back. That's your waiting move. It says here, bishop b6, waiting. King goes back, tries to keep out of the corner. Does not work. Mate, the most difficult part of the whole procedure is the maneuver between moves 20 and 24, where Black's king appears to be set free, only to find himself once again imprisoned by White's pieces. The whole technique is an instructive example of using one's pieces cooperatively, while it also illustrates well what a cumbersome piece the knight can be when it's trying to change its object of attack at close range. We'll take a look at that one section, 20 to 24. We'll set these back up. Repeat, the most difficult part of the whole procedure is the maneuver between moves 20 and 24, where Black's king appears to be set free, comma, only to find himself once again imprisoned by White's pieces. So we'll see these 5 moves, how this was done. Right here. It looks like he's getting away. It looks like he's going to run for it. He's just gone. Nothing White can do. Things are not always what they seem. Anybody notice this as being one of the ones similar to the triangle they talk about in some of the other videos? You'll notice this cutoff, but you also kind of notice a cutoff this way. If you'll notice this, here and here, you'll see how they're kind of boxed in along this little diagonal. Two key parts on this. I don't know how many people caught that. This was one right here as he makes these lines, close off the king and back him up. Notice the knight has this square here. That one you got king, of course everybody knows, but you got here knight, and here you've got the bishop. So you can look at, there's 2 different ways to look at this triangle. This way, and then you got a bigger triangle. Okay? Or you can look at it as having them cut off this way with the knight. As soon as they do this, they cut them off again. So now, from the other one, where you're going here and here, over here, when you move the bishop, you're going here and here. So you might want to think of it as triangles going this way, because from here, you got a longer triangle, okay? And once they go back, and you move that over, now you've got this little shorter triangle. You got them kind of boxed in. And then they go to right there. And as we've already seen the rest of it, we don't need to demonstrate it again. We don't need to go over it. This is the book we're using on the next Bishop and Knight Checkmate. It's by Nigel Pova. Nigel Pova is an international master at over-the-board play and grandmaster at correspondence chess, who has taught chess in schools, adult education classes, and by individual tuition. His past pupils include Grandmaster Daniel King and several other leading players. Here the black king must be driven into a corner of the same color as that on which the bishop operates to get a final mating position similar to that given in the top half of diagram 5, which I already showed you. Driving the king back is usually a two-stage process. Part 1. Forcing the king to the edge of the board and normally the wrong colored corner, since the king will naturally avoid the correct corner. Driving the king along the edge of the board from one corner to the other. That's part 2. That's the second part. Driving the king along the edge of the board from one corner to the other. The first stage, although not as easy as with two bishops, is nonetheless not too difficult. The second stage can be quite tricky, and a useful tip worth remembering is the pattern of knight moves indicated in the bottom half of diagram 5, which is the one that you guys saw. If you don't remember it, here it is. Waiting for the black king to move towards the correct corner, H1. Winning a tempo. Notice the cutoff here with the bishop hitting here and the knight hitting here, starting to box the black king into the corner. Can anybody see that? Can you see that, YouTube? People on YouTube? Another waiting move. Can you see this? All works together. Mate. The above method is not the quickest way to mate, but it has the advantage that a player should readily be able to recognize positions which arise in the mating procedure. Now we're going to take a look at a position from a game of Nielsen versus Lee. Post Office Team Tournament, 1977. Play continued. King to E5. Preparing to start from the beginning of the above analysis. "61 moves," where it says here, when white finds himself in a mating net similar to that reached after bishop to c6 in the above example, or in our first example. White resigned on move 72. Can anybody see the mating net similar to the first example? You see it? See how the bishop and knight work together? And see how the bishop in this corner and the king is headed towards this corner? So he's already got him in the right corner, or what they call the correct corner. Our next one will be a classic from Fred Reinfeld, The Complete Chess Player. Here's the old book, what it looked like. And this is the newer one. We'll take a look at that. Okay, I've got them set up for you. Checkmate with the bishop and knight. This type of checkmate is really difficult. It calls for considerable patience and methodical maneuvering. Not only must the lone king be driven into a corner, he must be hounded into a corner which is of the same color as those of the squares on which the bishop moves. For example, checkmate can only be forced when the lone king is forced into one of the white corners. Here is how it's done. Black's king tries to edge away from the mating square, but he will be driven back. White has made considerable progress and is now ready for the kill. The picturesque mating position is a tribute to the clever handling of White's pieces, which was needed to force this position. We conclude this section on the basic checkmates by again emphasizing the value of practicing these checkmating processes repeatedly.